Having a garden or gardening is something that has had a very positive impact on my life. It is something that I would not have said or expected to impact my life in the way that it has. Growing up, I grew up in a family that always had a garden. It was just something we always had, something we always did. But we didn't always. So when I was pretty young, I did not get sick and tired of working in a garden because I think I was young enough to where I could avoid some of the work that went into having a garden. And then my family moved to Arizona, and the soil and the weather out there, it's just very difficult to have a garden unless you are prepared for it and have the proper tools and the knowledge to understand how to grow a garden there. So, didn't really have one during those years, but then we moved to Michigan. And Michigan is known for farming. Um, Fun fact about Michigan, we are one of the top producers for potatoes, which you would think that's Idaho, but Michigan is needs to be more recognized for its potatoes. So anyway, a very good climate for growing things. When I was about 12 was when we finally had an established garden where we could grow a variety of things. So I would help out here and there in the garden. Um, I remember taking the 5 gallon buckets out to the garden and picking tomatoes and filling the buckets so full that you could hardly carry them back to the house. So during those years, I would not say that I enjoyed gardening, but it definitely led me to where I am today and how I view gardening, I think. So, when I was about 19, my mom had a concussion, and her recovery time was several months. And this was a very hard time for me, especially, and my family. And so, if she was not going to take care of the garden, it like nothing was going to happen with it. But I had decided that that's something that I would do. So I stepped up and I decided that I would take care of the garden and I would take care of the weeds. And I think that year I also planted a lot of the plants. We have a lot of greenhouses around. So that's usually where we get our plants. We get them when they're very small and plant them in the ground. And I think because of that, it gave me like a sense of ownership and just really expanded my appreciation for having a garden because working in the soil was very healing for me and it was very therapeutic. Getting rid of the weeds and seeing the difference your hard work made and then being able to reap the benefits of it was a very good experience for me during that time. And then my mom, she became better, thankfully, and it did not take her too long after the summer was over for her to fully recover. And then 2 summers ago, my parents were in an accident, and kind of a similar situation all over again, but this time I was the one who went out and bought the plants. I was the one who decided what went in the garden. I was the one who planned everything out in the garden and got everything in the ground, and I was a part of the entire process this time. And that was, again, such a healing experience for me, and just to have a source of work to do that was not daunting, but gave me a purpose and it gave me a way to provide for my family when I knew that that's something that they could not do during that time because their recovery process was several months and it was a really difficult time. But the garden is where I have learned so many lessons. There's a lot of lessons that you learn in the garden that can apply to many areas of life. And One thing that I like to say about a garden is, or my garden in particular, is that I grow many things in the garden, and one thing that's grown in my garden is me. I have developed a lot from working in the garden, and I wish many others could have the opportunity to do the same.